be social media savvy. Usually writers are supposed to be the unseen creator, but now it's like you have to go out there, you have to be creative, and you have to create something in order for people to know what you write, or even to expose yourself. And this is only very limited time. This is just one last video to show that I was fighting for the mental health bill since 2009. So I initiated the mental health bill. That's the sole purpose I came into the parliament, to pass the mental health bill into mental health law. So I came to the parliament, I initiated, and when it is passed, nobody knows about it. So I have to do something so people know that this bill now exists as a law. So I did something.
I find out that being journalists, we can be channeling, we can facilitate other stakeholders to do something. It's easier for journalists to do that, to break the blocking communication. For example, I can easily call Pak Presiden or Pak Menteri without having hesitation, without having bureaucratic bottlenecks. So that's why we create the program, we name it Menjadi Indonesia. We challenge young people, what is Indonesia to you? What is becoming Indonesia to you? We ask the young people, young students, to define how their perspective about Indonesia. And to my surprise, Binus and also urban universities like Binus having very bright ideas about what Indonesia in their mind.
We like to provide a platform for people to channel their voices, to share their experience and their perspective, so that other people can see that they are like-minded people. Because sometimes it's good to know that you are not alone with this thought. It emboldens you and it encourages you when you know that, oh, it's okay actually to be an introvert, or it's okay actually to challenge this dogmatic thinking that is a little bit constricting or kind of has a destructive effect. We think of ourselves. We should have confidence, but we should also know that there's still a lot more ways to improve ourselves. And secondly, there's life beyond mainstream journalism. I know not a lot of you are in journalism maybe, but if you are and if you're interested in that career, I think you said that, yeah? You don't have to apply to a big, somebody else said that, to a big media company. You can create something, explore what's out there. And this is important for everything that you do. Starting something is easy, but what you put in and day out is what's going to determine the sustainability of what you do.
So, what other things do we need to consider? Well, what we need to consider is what's driving it. What is making this thing happen? And the first one clearly is globalization. One of the things that we're finding now is countries like South Africa are taking jobs away from Australians. Because South Africa, the employment costs are lower, they've got high bandwidth, so they're able to take some of the work that Australians would have traditionally done. So it's become an interesting sort of thing in globalisation.
I'd like to ask first Ms. Nova, what was your first experience that made you care about mental health, and how did you and why you got into that?
It's just something that we are always very shy to admit because of the stigma, but I do have a family member who suffers from mental illness. So it's like something that a lot of people do not want to admit, but what can we say now? It's just it's very alarming globally, and we just have the Sustainable Development Goals, and two of the targets are actually about mental health. So now it's a global awareness movement for mental health. So I'm just happy that when they are actually putting mental health in the SDGs target goals, Indonesia already had a mental health law. Otherwise, we don't know what to say about that. So yeah, it started from, I'm having a family member who suffered from mental illness and stigma, and then I feel very driven that, can you imagine, my family comes from a family living in a big city, and can you imagine them living in remote areas who suffer from mental illness? Can you imagine the difficulty that they have to face? So it's just that feeling of knowing that. So I feel like, well, I must do something about it. And I like the psychiatry itself. I like the knowledge. I like the challenge when studying psychiatry. And yeah, basically it starts from my own experience.
I think we can thank you. Due to your experience, you've helped spread the awareness, and I think that's great. Hopefully in the future we can continue to grow and continue to provide places to help people with mental disabilities. Thank you so much, Ms. Nova. Also, next up, we heard from Ms. Mardiyah and Ms. Devi. You guys were journalists. Ms. Devi even shared a story about how you were almost held hostage. That was pretty crazy. So, Ms. Mardiyah, were there any experiences that in your career in journalism that you ever felt like was so dangerous? Can you share just briefly one of those dangerous experiences?
I was several times in the desk. We call it desk or compartment investigative report in Tempo with my team. Usually when we have some dangers, like my team going undercover for illegal logging, for also fuel smuggling like that. It could be very dangerous, but fortunately, Tempo is a big name, so we have a lot of networking. So when something bad happens in the field, we can shortly evacuate or mitigate the bad things happens in the field. So this is more, benefit for big media. It's not the case is not that simple for small media. Some journalists are facing more dangers every day. One of the journalists in Kalimantan, while doing illegal logging, he was attacked by Preman. That's, and then the Preman cut his hand. So that's dangerous. Fortunately for me and my team, because we have Tempo name, that makes us easier to face. Maybe Devi have experience.
Basically, I was their crisis reporter, crisis correspondent. So every time something happened in Indonesia, whether it's a bombing, whether it's a tsunami or earthquake, and there were a lot of earthquake and tsunami in those times, I was always sent first. There were, yes, like the ambush part, I was actually saved because I lied to them that I was from Sumatra, because they really hated Japanese people, because at the time that was the whole conflict. But there's also a few other moments where I thought that it wasn't, it could have been worse. But I think, if you enter this profession, you have to be prepared for this sort of things, and then you can't be stupid, you can't be reckless, you have to know your limitation.
Thank you so much, Ms. Devi. Again, as you guys have heard from all of our speakers, they, from their different platforms, whether through journalism, through books, or through teaching, they've been able to share. So if you guys are thinking about getting into journalism, it's not just about writing. You get into the field, there's dangerous situations, but I think the outcome is you guys get to deliver whatever message that you guys want to hundreds, thousands, millions of people. So I'm going to open it up now to if you guys have any questions for our speakers today. If you do, please raise your hand. I would love to hear. I think they would love to answer any of your questions right now. Let's get some questions up in the air. Do we have a hand up? Yes, we have one up front right here. We're going to throw you the mic. Please introduce your name, who you're directing your question to, and then you can go ahead and share your question.
My name is Riyanti Safira. I majored in communication, and I guess this question goes to every single one of you, because I know that every one of you guys are journalists in some ways. And I want to ask, in your opinion, along with the improvement of our technology, how would you advise the young generation in order to improve as a journalist?
I'll start. Be ethical. I think that's probably the most important thing. I work with a lot of journalists. I remember from my own experiences. Technology is great, but if you don't have the ethics behind it, you're not a good journalist.
I was going to say the same thing because I was in the parliament for 5 years and I was very pissed off and they just wrote something without confirming that information to me. So yeah, I know politicians make a lot of mistakes or have false accusations. So ethics is number one, and whatever you do, just be passionate, and then like you said earlier, it just drives you to the right direction when you move with passion. When you don't have passion, just remember Paulo Coelho when he talks about personal legend. It is something that keeps you enthusiastic day by day, each day of your life. So yeah, that personal legend may be becoming a journalist. So as long as it's something you're passionate about, then you will go to the right direction.
Okay, this is the very hard question actually, because as a media, as a printing media base, we have to answer that question every day. So this is the time of paradox, because we can no longer send our value through our writing, because young people now just want to read fast. Through the title, tweeting and Facebook, they don't want to know deeper. They don't want to know the context, the consequences, the whole story. They just want to know the 140 characters. That's a challenge that we have to face every day. So this is not easy answers, but what can I say? Time changing, like Dr. Mark said, that we have to shifting into digital technology, which have very different habits. We have to come up with something new to attract young generation too. How to be fast and also short, but also deep. How to find the balance. That's it. I don't know. We don't have the recipe yet. Maybe you have your generation will come up with a new platform that answer your needs. We're waiting for that.
Okay. To me, the technology part is a lot of help. It's godsend. When I started journalism, I still have to go to the library downstairs. Sometimes I went to CSIS library to actually research some stuff. But now all it takes is just go to Google, and Wikipedia and anything. But at the end of the day, journalism is about telling stories. And so what my advice is that whatever the platform is, whatever the technology is, just hone your storytelling skill, whether it's in the form of visual or audiovisual film or whatever, or in writing. If you don't have the skill, the narrating skill or the storytelling skill, whether it's in a long form or short form, then you're not going to stand out. So just master that technique, master the skill, and I think you'll do good. And at the end of the day, none of us can predict the technology because it just keeps changing. It's so fast, and I don't know what the platform next year or 2 years from now that's gonna be like all the rage and people's gonna draw a lot of people. But at the end of the day, it's still the skill that matters.
I'm just going to add one quick thing there. In terms of ethics, be ethical in your media consumption as well. Not just in your creation, but in the way you actually consume media. Read hard things. Read stuff that's really challenging. I saw a statistic the other day that said, I think 70% of people don't read the things they share. So
so they read the headline and share. And what that does is it creates a culture of people just continually sharing titles but no actual content. So be ethical and really think about the content you're sharing, not just consuming.
Again, guys, thank you again so much for your time today. And that's all for me. My name is Adjar.